City this morning. Good morning. Welcome to this May 1st, 2018 meeting of the Hutchinson City Council. Linda, would you call roll, please?
Dave Line.
Here.
Iris de Carvalho.
Here.
Soldner.
Here.
Inskeep.
Here.
Deckent.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Pastor Darrell Peterson, I think you're doing prayer for us this morning, right? Thank you.
At least you're right this time. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Most Gracious Father, it's an honor and a privilege again to come before the city, come before the council, come before the leadership. And Father, we just pray for godly wisdom for each and every person that's here today. And Father, the decisions that need to be made, that they're rightful decisions. And Father, we just thank you that as the city has so many standards, but Father, as you have a standard. And I pray, Father God, that as decisions are made, that Father, your standard is evaluated as well. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for this day, this meeting. We pray, Father God, for every person to be involved, to know what to say and how to say it. And Father, we thank you for the outcome to be a great one in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Darrell. Next item.
Item 4, proclamations.
Okay. Go change things up a bit. I'd like for Vice Mayor Inskeep to join me at the podium.
Will be appropriate, I guess.
Our first proclamation has to do with bicycling. And as some of you know, Vice Mayor Inskeep is an avid bicyclist. Quite often, as a matter of fact, he rides his bicycle to the council meetings. I understand that may not be the case today, but albeit he's an avid bicyclist, and so we're going to kind of co-read or tag team this proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. And he's right. And we both had a good laugh. He said, "Surely you rode today, right?" And I was like, "Today was the worst day. I have this meeting and that one, and I'm unable to." So my excuses aside, I am an advocate for cycling. With that being said, whereas the bicycle is a viable and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent form of recreation, and many residents of Hutchinson will experience the joys of bicycling during the month of May through group rides, commuting events, or just getting out and going for a ride. And whereas Hutchinson's road and trail system creates a vibrant, physically active community, providing economic and health benefits to citizens of Hutchinson, and these bicycling activities and road and trail improvements have great potential to positively impact Hutchinson's economy and tourism industry and to stimulate economic development by making the city attractive to businesses and citizens who enjoy the outdoors and healthy lifestyles. And whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion. And whereas the Vitality Team, Reno County, Hutchinson Recreation Commission, the Hutchinson Reno County Chamber of Commerce, the Hutchinson Community Foundation, the Reno County Health Department, Harley's Bicycles, and other companies and civic groups throughout Hutchinson will be promoting bicycling as a leisure activity as well as an environmentally friendly alternative to the automobile during the month of May 2018.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Stephen A. Deckent, Mayor of the City of Hutchinson, hereby proclaim the month of May 2018 as Bike Month and Friday, May 18th, 2018 as Bike to Work Day. Be it further resolved that the Hutchinson City Council encourages all who support bicycling to participate in the events planned and urges all road users to share the road safely with bicycles. Mr. Drock, thank you for joining us. I forgot to invite you up.
That's okay.
Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Thanks. If I could, thank you.
Please do.
Thank you, Mayor, and Mr. Inskeep, City Council, and Honorable John Derdoff. I'm Steve Drock with the president of the Vitality Team. I'm a relatively new member of the Vitality Team. I think we are an active part in the health of Reno County and our city. I thought I might just share with you our goals for this year and probably ongoing. And those are to promotion of our team to the community, advocate the hike for hike and bike trails, educate on bike safety, and challenge Reno County to support of HEAL, which is healthy eating, active living. I want to thank your support of the council and for past projects and future projects. I think we have a great trail system, hike and bike trail system started. Many years ago, I think us old timers remember that the goal of the city council at the time was to complete the circle of the hike and bike trail around the city. We are accomplishing that. I think it's been great efforts from you as a city council to do that. Some of the recent projects that's coming up in the next year will be the completion of the leg from Severance, the water treatment plant, through the fairgrounds. I think that'll be a great extension. Then ultimately to cross Main over to Washington Street, which I think there's a grant that's being completed this year to designate Washington Street from 17th to Morgan School as the bike trail, and that will ultimately maybe head south then to downtown. Another important part is the I think it's being in engineering and funding budgeting is to complete the leg from North Plum over to Monroe. And this, along with the next segment to get it from Monroe to Rice Park, will complete 2/3 of the circle around the city. And so I think that's a great accomplishment of our city and you as a council. I think it's a very important thing then that we can promote to the state of Kansas that our city has done that. I think I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you again for this proclamation. And again, like Mayor said, Bike to Work Day is Friday, May 18th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wes, could you join me, please? What's that? Not for this part. Okay. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contribution made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas the local, state, and national historic registers recognize the history of buildings and celebrate the significance of people and places. And whereas the Hutchinson Landmarks Commission has provided the City Council with an action plan to promote historic preservation throughout the year 2020. And whereas, in celebration and recognition of Hutchinson's historic heritage, the Hutchinson Landmarks Commission has selected the Begees Building located at 208 North Main Street and the European Apartments located at 121 North Main Street to receive the 2018 Basante Preservation Award. Now therefore, I, Stephen A. Deckand, Mayor of the City of Hutchinson, do proclaim May 2018 as Preservation Month in the City of Hutchinson and call upon the people of Hutchinson to recognize and participate in this special observance. And we have Wes Bartlett, the Chair of the Landmarks Commission, to receive this proclamation. Do you want to say a few words on behalf of the Landmarks? Congratulations, Wes.
Thank you. I would like to recognize a couple of our board members, Chelsea and Joe back here at least raise their hands. As the chairman of the Landmarks Commission, I just want to say that we've got some great buildings and other things in our community and in our town that are part of our history. And unfortunately, what we see a lot of times is they are not taken very good care of, and we lose them. And when we do that, we lose a lot of our heritage. And as the Landmarks Commission, one of the things that we seek to do is to get information out to the people about what we can do to preserve those buildings and those landmarks and preserve the history of Hutchinson, which is extremely important. And we were just talking, some of us the other day, about I think there's a bunch of people in town that think that we don't have anything here. You know, we're just a small town. We have a lot of great history in this town, and the Landmarks Commission applauds the city for their help in what we do to help preservation, and we just need to keep doing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
When could you join us, please? The proclamation mentioned that there were a couple of selections to receive the Basante Historic Preservation Award. And one of those is for the European apartments, owned, and maybe better known as the Bookends building. But those were known as the European apartments, owned by Wes and Gwen Bartlett. And this states, for recognition of the preservation of this historic resource in the city of Hutchinson, Reno County, Kansas. Congratulations, Wes. Do one of you want to say something?
Yeah. I always like to speak, so.
There we go.
This project was our idea, but there were a lot of people that were involved in this, and Jim Seitenader was probably the one that helped us the most with our vision and our idea. And then we had good architects, and Leiker Construction did a wonderful job in preserving and making our apartments and the building come to life. And it's exactly as we envisioned it. When we walked upstairs the first time, there was no electricity, there was no water, it was dark. We had flashlights looking at the woodwork and stuff, but we saw enough at that particular time that we thought, we want to restore this building back to the 1888 look. And Leiker Construction especially did a wonderful job. Everything we wanted kept, and everything we wanted done, he was more than willing to do it. And then I also would like to recognize Brenda Spencer of Spencer Preservation, who took us under her wing and did all the paperwork. And without Jim and her, this project would not have come to fruition. And I think with the city's help too, especially with Jim knowing what to do, we had very few problems, and we appreciate that. So thank you for the award.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And is there anyone here with Pegues? Well, we'll certainly make it a point to get them their award as well. Again, the Basante Historic Preservation Award to Brian Richardson for the project of the Pegues building. And again, for recognition of his preservation of this historic resource to the city of Hutchinson, Reno County, Kansas. Okay, next item.
Item 5A, Munis software presentation.
Morning, Angela.
Morning.
Good morning, Angela Richard, Director of Finance. They're getting my PowerPoint up. Okay. Okay, exciting changes are coming. This has been our mantra for our software conversion throughout this whole process. It's been a long process. It started in the fall of 2016. And then we went live with financial, and so we were up and running on financial, but we are getting ready to go live on our utility billing software. So I want to talk about why we needed to switch. The old software was not keeping up with the times. New software has the capability to add attachments, PDF attachments, Word attachments, Excel attachments, and then to automate workflow. Our old software did not accommodate this, and our new software does. Our new software has an evergreen philosophy. They have a philosophy that they are always going to keep up with technology, and they will always be putting out the latest updates. And we really appreciate that. Our old software lacks support. They have been bought maybe 3 times in the last 2 years. And the customer support we were getting was lacking. Our reporting capabilities with the old software was lacking. We found we were doing processes with Excel and keeping records in Excel because we couldn't get the information we needed directly out of the software. So this has eliminated a lot of that, as I'll talk about. We also wanted to be EMV compliant. If you are in banking or know anything about that, that means that our credit card readers are EMV compliant. It reduces our risk a lot. Our current customer website crashes a lot. IT has to reset it, get it back up and going. And we have problems with our credit card capabilities. Sometimes that crashes and we have to tell customers we can't accept their credit cards at this time because it's not working. And that was not acceptable for us. So we decided to go ahead and make the switch. So in July 1st of 2017, we switched our financial part of our software. We did that ahead of utility billing so we could keep the 2 processes separate. It helped with our workload from a staff perspective, and it has been great. We love our new software. We have found that we save a ton of time, especially with the audit and your budget. We have automated the budget process. Departments are putting their budget directly into the software. We've eliminated a lot of Excel spreadsheets. The CIP and MRF spreadsheets that they would fill out are now automated in the software, and you can see everything real time. We're also able to customize reports, and this has made the audit and budget books that we prepare a lot simpler. Everything links directly to the software. It'll take a lot of the manual processes out of that, and we'll have real-time data. It's also eliminated a lot of copying and a lot of paper movement. So before, what would happen is if we had an invoice that got mailed to us, finance would then put it in the mailbox. That department would then take it, route it through their approval process. People would physically sign that document, and then somebody would have to bring it back to finance to be paid. Now what happens is finance gets that, it goes in the department's mailbox, they then enter it, scan it into the system, and then it gets paid. So that has created a lot of savings in paper movement, and somebody has to move that paper. It's also created real-time reporting and transparency with departments. Before, if a department wanted to know what affected a line item of their budget, they would call Karen. Karen would dig and get the reports and then send it to them. Now they go directly into Munis and they can look for themselves. They can pull up a copy of that invoice and look at it right there without having to ask Karen to scan it in and email it to them, or go to Memorial Hall and dig it out of storage. So those are some of the benefits that we have seen with our financial software, and we're hoping to see a lot of those efficiency improvements with the utility billing software. And with the utility billing changes, I want to focus on what changes the citizen is going to see. So this is supposed to go live May 29th. That's our plan. That's when we plan on going live. And we're going to see billing cycle changes as a result. You're going to see a new statement design. We are now going to offer what we call Tyler Notify, and I'll talk about that in a bit. We'll offer IVR, a new form, a new way to take payments. And then we will have a new website with new opportunities. And like I said, we do hope to see improved efficiencies within our department as well. So the old billing cycle, your due dates would fluctuate with the cycle. And then you would be disconnected the Tuesday after your final notice, which would vary in the number of days after the due date. We found that customers complained because they couldn't predict their due date. It would only vary a few days, but to them that matters. So with our new proposed cycle, we are always going to bill on a Wednesday. Their due date is always going to be a Tuesday. So they can predict that. It's always going to be the first Tuesday, second Tuesday, third Tuesday, fourth Tuesday. So they can predict that. And then their due date will be 20 days after they're billed, and then their disconnection will be 10 days after their due date. So we have consistency, and they can predict when their bill will be due. This is what our new statement is going to look like. It's going to have a historical table that shows their past usage over the past 13 months. It's going to be an easy read design, and it's going to include a barcode at the bottom that we will have a scanner, and we can scan the barcode, bring up their bill, and it will expedite payment processing. And I know you probably can't see that too well. But, this will be our new late notice and our disconnect notice. Currently, we send a late notice shortly after the bill was due, and then we send another disconnect notice saying we are going to shut you off. We are going to combine this into one, and we have made the language very clear that if they do not pay by a certain date, they will get the $30 fee, and they will be disconnected. They can be disconnected anytime after that date. So the language is a lot clearer than what they currently get. Because we're eliminating another statement that's getting mailed to them, we are concerned about our customers that rely on this disconnect notice, so we're offering another option for them. It's called Tyler Notify. What this allows is it allows us to text, email, or send a voicemail to customers to let them know that they are about to be disconnected, and they'll have 24 hours or whatever to pay. We also will incorporate IVR, and that is where you call into an automated telephone line and you can enter your credit card information without talking to a person. So you can pay your bill over the phone any time of day. With this, we're also getting new equipment. You'll see the new EMV card readers. The scanner, like I said, will scan the bottom of their bill and be able to quickly take payments, and then they'll also be getting new receipt printers. Okay, so we also will be getting a new website. We know this will be painful for customers. This may mean that we are down on our website for a couple days while we make the switch to our new website. It also means they will have to sign up again. And we know that this will be painful because they have had to sign up and create new accounts over the last couple of years a couple times. It also means they'll have to put the reoccurring credit card information in if they want to pay that way. But I hope they see the benefits of this because we have complaints that the website crashes. This will be more stable. It'll also offer more features. And this website is more user-friendly in that they can call and ask the clerks to help them set up their account. Our clerks can reset passwords for them. Right now, we don't have those capabilities. As the website hoster, we're not able to help them as much as we will be able to with our new website. It'll also offer some new features that they didn't have before. If they think they have a leak, if they want to stop service, if they want to transfer service and let us know they're moving, they can all do that online now. And we're even playing around with the ability to start new service and request new service. I don't think the process will be completely 100% online because we'll have to figure out if they owe us a deposit or not. But we hope that to be a future possibility. And then after they file that request, they can check the status online as well. I was hoping to show you the website today, but it also happens that we are upgrading our software today. So I can't right now. But it is very user-friendly, and we will put tutorials on the website so that will help people as well. We plan to get the word out about this software change with mail inserts on the website, Facebook. We even wear t-shirts on Fridays now that say exciting changes are coming. So now we're getting the customers asking, well, what changes are coming? And then we're telling them about it as well. I would like to thank Nancy Rice, Becky Peterson, and Duncan and IT, all for their efforts in this software conversion. Do you have any questions?
I have a few.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear this. Long time coming. I had a question about Tyler Notify and if people are opt-in automatically.
We are still learning about that. That's on our schedule for training either this week or next week. I know if they want text messages, it is opt-in because of the rates that, the charges that may be incurred because of that.
So my main concern is for those who frequently bump up against disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And so that first and second month, are we kind of relaxing our policy on that?
We realize we will have to be more lenient, especially because people who have reoccurring credit card payments, that information is not going to switch over.
Okay.
So we will be more lenient.
Great.
Yes.
And then is it typically the same people each month that run up against disconnect?
Typically, yes.
And is there anything we can do to reach out to them and let them know that they won't be receiving a second notice in the future, maybe prevent some of?
Right. We do plan on putting mail inserts in and trying to get out the word through Facebook, media, newspaper.
Okay. I want to make sure, since there is a financial component to that, to people who are already struggling, that is an additional $30, that we're just really mindful of that small sector. But other than that, it sounds amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
It'll be interesting, sorry, with the Tyler Notify, I know in my own business, some folks, if they're struggling making their other payments, they're struggling making other payments as well. That could include their cell phones, which is how you're going to notify them. So I don't know if you've contemplated that, if it bounces back, if you send a voicemail that's not received, a text that's not received.
With Tyler Notify, we will be able to see whether it bounced back or whether it was successful.
Okay.
And that's why there's the other method of email as well.
Okay. Okay. Would there? I guess you wouldn't know then if they, unless you get some sort of red receipt or something like that, whether or not they received the email. If it does bounce back, is there a paper letter that can fall back upon, or are we just trying to avoid that?
We can look into that.
Okay, I'm not trying to complicate the process, but I'm with Jade and others. I want to make sure that because of change, that we give everybody every opportunity to learn the system, and then hopefully we don't want to go through the disconnect and then the reconnect, and nor do they. So if we can avoid those opportunities, that'd be ideal.
I suspect the processes will evolve as we implement it fully, but this is such an ordeal, implementation of a system like this, and so I commend you and the rest of the staff for getting it done. It's definitely going to be better for the residents and you.
That is our hope, yes.
Yeah.
Angela, if one has multiple water connections, will those be on the same billing cycle, or it depends where the addresses are? Or?
It depends on the address location.
Okay.
Yes.
Would it be possible to get multiple water connections on the same billing cycle?
I don't think it's possible with this software.
Okay. Anything else? Well, good job. That's been said already, but excellent job. Thank you.
It's a challenge.
Next item.
Item 5B, oral communications from the audience.
Okay, this is that part of our meeting where there's an opportunity for members of the audience to address the council on matters that are not already on the agenda. Please introduce yourself by name and address, and if you would, please limit your comments to 5 minutes. I know there's at least one, maybe more.
Good morning. I'm Andrea Springer. I live at 204 East 14th Avenue, and I'm here this morning representing the Hutchinson Reno Arts and Humanities Council as president of that board. With me is Jim French. And Jim, you're one of our county representatives, part of the partnership on the board of directors.
From Partridge, Kansas.
All right. And we thank you for this opportunity to speak this morning. We realize that the subsidy contract for the Hutchinson Reno Arts and Humanities Council is on the consent agenda this morning. I wanted to start today by saying at Radio Kansas, we recently hired somebody who moved from the Oklahoma City area. And yesterday he came to me shaking his head saying, I had absolutely no idea the arts were so prevalent in Kansas, which was good news to hear. He's very impressed with his move to our community and said, this may be the best move I've ever made in my life. So we're pleased to hear that. The Arts and Humanities Council is in transition, how about in transition, with the entire retirement of Mark Reset. In addition to planning our coming year's worth of programming based on everything we've already done and continue to do with the cultural groups and arts groups in Hutchinson, we are very excited to announce that there are some partners that have stepped forward in the last few months to help us plan and fund some exciting new initiatives in town regarding the arts. We're also in the process of our job search for Mark's replacement. We wanted to make sure that that position was updated to reflect the current needs of not only the Arts and Humanities Council, but the needs of the community. And so we'll be hopefully getting that person in place here in the next 30 days. That's all we have to say other than thank you for your consideration and your funding over the years. We look forward to continuing to serve Hutchinson and Reno County, both arts and cultural organizations, with quality activities throughout the next year.
Just a brief note. I think this last weekend we saw a little bit of the fruits of the work that we've been in the background of was when we had Fiddler on the Roof. That is an organization with Sage 9 that we as part of the Community Activities Fund when we've worked with. But in addition to that, if you also noticed in the cast, drew from all over the county. And especially in my community, my Amish and Mennonite neighbors were especially thrilled to see one of the cast members coming out of there and had a big contingent there. So not only is it something that brings revenue, activity, and enrichment to the city of Hutchinson, it really is an enrichment to the full county, and that we want to continue to be able to serve, to coordinate, and to look at all dimensions of how arts and humanities serve our county. So again, a big thanks for the support we've received in the past. We're very excited about new directions and new partners to be working with in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate your comment, Andrea, referring to the individual who moved in from Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And best move he or she had made. We have many wonderful things going on here, and I've made the same comment before. We have challenges, certainly. Who or what community doesn't? But the arts and humanities and cultural events that we've got, granted, I've lived here for a number of years, but I'm amazed by how much we have going on for a community this size. It's just one of the great things about Hutchinson. Are there others? Anyone else? Please come forward.
Well, good morning. My name is Don Biter. I live at 521 East 25th. And what I'm here to speak about this morning goes along with activities is we have a group in town that plays pickleball. I don't know if you people are familiar with the game or not. The rec center, we have talked to them about trying to get more places to play at, and it's always been, it's up to the city. The city controls the places and so forth. Because right now we play at Elmdale, the Senior Citizen Center. We have 2 courts there. It's very crowded. It gets to be hectic at times. Most of our players are north part of town. And what we're trying to do is get somebody to help us get the rec commission to move along to get us more places to play. The field house, the new arena, the new basketball courts up there. This, I think the 21st of May, or not 21st, but the 27th of May, they are doing a tournament there. I don't know what the turnout's been so far, but hopefully we'll have quite a few people. But that would be a good location for indoor. activities for the pickleball. The tennis courts at Rice Park, they're in need of repair, but if they could be repaired, we have volunteers that would help put the courts in. We just need a flat surface and then somebody helping with the equipment and so forth to get the courts ready. It's a good activity. Most of the activity is for the seniors, 50 and plus, it seems like. However, there are a lot younger age groups that are participating anymore. CBS Sports, I don't know, they broadcast the U.S. National Tournament every year. They started last year, they've done it for 2 years in a row now. We have all sorts of ex-tennis players that are beginning to play the game. Game's been around for 50 years, but it's actually in the last 5 or 10 years it's actually caught on with the population. It is a very good sport. It creates cardio. It gets the, like say, the elderly generation out and playing. A lot of people, they do the hike and bike, but this gives them activities they can do year-round, indoors and out, if we have the facilities. Like I say, so far what we've been getting from the Rec Commission is that the facilities are owned by the city. We need their help in getting them set up. And any help is appreciated. Anything that you would like to know, please contact me. I'd be glad to help introduce the game. If people want to learn how to play it, we play at Elmdale. Tuesday afternoons, we play down there Wednesday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays. So we'd be glad to help anybody out. So thank you very much.
Don,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. My familiarity is limited, but I know it's played on a similar tennis court, but are the markings different? I know the net's
markings
lower.
are different. The court is smaller. The
Court's
for a
smaller?
pickleball court is 20 foot wide by 44 foot long.
Right.
It is smaller than a tennis court.
And the net is lower?
A hair.
Okay.
It's like 2 inches. I think a tennis court net's 36. This is 34.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. But yeah, it could easily be,
It-
a court could be set up.
Easily. And the thing about it is when they resurface courts and repaint courts, the companies that repaint them, they will put the markings down for you. The cost is minimal because most of the time, since they're there, they will include the cost for a minimal fee. It's, like I say, it's a very fun game. I've been playing it for 2 years now. I'm hooked. I play a tournament this Saturday down in Wichita. It's the 5th annual tournament for the Family of Life. A lot of players. It's just a lot of fun.
I take it, Don, that you're seeking more space just because of the demand and the usage is overwhelming Elmdale?
Yes, we're trying to get it built up here in the city of Hutch. We're trying to get more players. Right now, like I say, Elmdale is the only place we can play it at. Unfortunately, some people have a stigma about going to that part of town. I don't know why, because it is safe, but they have talked about moving, there's outdoor tennis courts they were going to redo into a pickleball court. That was 2 years ago, and it has not moved forward any because they keep saying all sorts of reasons. So
You mentioned the arena. Now, the Rec Commission handles that use of that space, am I right, John?
yes, they handle the program of it, but we've talked to them about it, and they say, well, it's up to the city to, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what's going on there, because every time we talk to the commission, they say, we have to talk to the city, and the city has control, but I don't know what is happening. We've had other members of my group, they have talked to the Rec Commission plus the city, and it just seems like it's a ball that gets bounced back and forth.
A pickleball, so to speak.
What a
So to
pickle.
speak.
Well, honestly, I think that it could be coordinated. I mean, why could it not be coordinated to handle another need from the city? I mean, I know that the Hutch Rec, they do a fantastic job of
do.
handling the programming, and we don't want to do it. So I don't want to denigrate them in any way. However, it's not their building, and I think if there's demand from the community, because that is a community building,
Right.
we're all paying for
First
it.
and foremost, yeah.
That I think they should be able to accommodate it. What can we do to facilitate that, John? Is there anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think and I know outdoor pickleball is played in Arizona a
Oh,
lot.
yes, it's like,
Now,
the state of Florida has over 100,000 members.
how does it work on a day like yesterday outdoors?
I was thinking the same thing with the wind because it's more of a wiffle type ball, right?
It'd be,
Be a little touchy.
It'd be
it'd be a little
challenging.
touchy.
Well, and I guess my reason for that is it indoor needs or outdoor needs, or both?
It could be both. It could be both. The indoor
'Cause-
needs, the thing about them, you can play them 360, year
Right,
round.
right.
Year round. The outdoor needs is, there's a lot of people that like to be out in the sun.
Yeah.
They'll play it too. They'll play it indoors or outdoors. They'll play it at night, they'll play it at day.
Well, and I know we've really struggled with what to do with the courts at Rice Park because
Right.
it's kind of
Right.
cost prohibitive to
Mention pickleball
repair
once.
those.
Didn't Justin mention
And
pickleball?
so you could put in probably 3 to 4 courts there of pickleball.
John,
Because
could
you have
you,
2 tennis right now, I believe.
Yeah.
could you, excuse me, facilitate, rec commission, I mean, let the rec commission know as far as we're concerned, unless I'm mistaken.
Well, I think, yeah.
They can schedule the sports arena as it works with what the elements and the activities they've got going.
And even if it's just a few times a week to start.
So
That's
that they
basically
can go
what-
back to the rec commission or to who
I went to
staff.
the rec commission, the board meeting in February, first part of February, and I haven't heard much back.
Yeah, we can have that conversation. I mean, the sports arena will be a
Good place.
challenge just
Yeah.
because
And
of.
have you talked with anybody, who have you talked with in the city in regards to outdoor space? Because that
I'm
is our,
not real sure. There's another guy in our group called Bill Perone who talked to somebody in the city. He's working this morning, so I'm not positive.
Okay.
How
would
many-
referring him to Justin be
Justin,
appropriate?
probably.
I think it's
Yeah, I mean, I
probably-
can
Yeah,
start
if you
that
can get us
conversation
somebody
with
to go to
Justin,
that, I would
because
appreciate
I
it.
know Justin, and I think we talked about that.
We talked about
in the
pickleball
budget when
courts
we were looking at
one
Rice-
at a time up
Rice
at
Park.
Rice.
Yeah.
I know we did. How many people in the community play?
Right now, it varies from depending on the day. We've had as many as 20, 25 people in one day. And you
Okay,
have 2
good group.
courts inside the Elmdale, and the play ranges from your basic players to your advanced players.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. And that's what if we could set up some way for basic players, we'd gladly help them
Mm-hmm.
learn the game. We have people that are good teachers.
Yeah.
We have a 17-year-old high school kid who's very good at it. He is very, he's on the tennis team. He's very good. He just enjoys the game. He says he's going to go pro in it. So we'll see what happens. There are pro players.
We are.
Well,
Super.
just to be completely honest, if there are budgetary
Correct.
concerns with this, I mean, that would have to be discussed further. We'd have to look into this, but I'm glad you brought it to us, and, we'll do what we can.
You know, it's just something for future, trying to get something to go, because activities, they're just getting activities that people enjoy. A lot of people enjoy tennis, but they get older and tennis gets out of the way. People walking and so forth, so it's another activity that could be done.
Okay.
Don, I got a
We'll look
question.
into it.
I got a question
Yeah.
on Elmdale. Do you all provide the modified net itself?
Now, Elmdale provides the
They
nets.
provide the
Yeah,
net?
the nets are very
And how
cheap.
about the markings on the
The
floor?
markings were put down by Elmdale.
They were put down by Elmdale.
Right.
By the rec
When they redid the
So
court,
by the rec commission, is that right?
Yeah.
And are they permanent?
they're painted, yes.
They're painted, okay. So at sports arena and so on, that would have to be something that would have to
Yeah, that's a whole
They
nother.
should be taped.
modify the floor
They could-
space and the
They could be
painting
taped.
and the tape.
They could be taped.
You could put temporary tape
Yes.
down? Okay.
Yeah.
Like I say, we would gladly volunteer to help lay out anything and help with it. The courts at the sports arena are real good because you have the practice GMA and practice GMB. B could handle, I think, 3 courts, and your A can do 6. I'm waiting to see how this tournament turns out.
Yeah.
The rec's good. I don't know how many participants they've got. I'm going, like I say, to Wichita this weekend to participate in the tournament. I'm planning to advertise it there, see if we can get more people interested to come to Hutchinson. Because the thing about it, the pickleball is, it is great, fun, interesting game. It does draw a crowd.
Tony, were your ears burning?
I was about to ask the very same.
Well, we've got a gentleman talking to us about pickleball at the sports arena, and he indicates that the rec commission told him that he needed to talk with the city.
Do you mind if I?
Please.
Yeah, please come forward.
No.
I've been getting all sorts of information, but if everything is correct, I don't know.
Perfect.
Okay. Tony Finley, Director of Hutch Rec. Just clarify a few things. We do provide pickleball numerous days of the week at Elmdale. Put courts in, bought all that. Agree, it's popular. Seems to be working. Very low cost, if any cost, right? Pretty much free to those over 50. The sports arena is a whole nother ball game, as you guys know. The use of that is completely different than drop-in pickleball at the senior center. It would require markings on the floor. It does require possible displacement of other activities that are going on, and quite frankly, it can't be free. at this point. So those are the issues that are faced with pickleball, moving it north. We feel we're adequately, as far as a community with indoor pickleball courts, the number of people playing at this time, Elmdale serves that purpose. I don't know that there needs to be anything north other than that's just where people want versus going south, as I believe the gentleman mentioned. They just don't want to go south.
It's a preference thing.
Yeah.
The courts are there, the equipment's there, the accessibility's there, and people can play there, like I said, pretty much for free. Outdoor pickleball courts do fall into the city parks, you know, as far as that goes. We are, because of the request of bringing more pickleball in, we are trying a tournament. Unfortunately, the only open day in the sports weekend in the sports arena this spring was the Memorial Day. So whether that goes or not, you know, we don't know. But there are very limited weekends at the sports arena for this kind of thing. So just want to make sure we're all on
Well,
the
Tony,
same page.
talk to me about programming at the sports arena aside from weekends. Is it full from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.? I mean, is there no open time?
There's open times, but with the HCC as a tenant, it's very as needed, you know, so regularly scheduled things. So we do bring in exercise classes in the mornings at noon. We have things in the evening quite a bit, but during the day right now it's pretty well set aside because the college needs that access for their things. So middle of the day.
So does the public get to use that building at all, besides walking in it?
So the walking's free. Yeah, that's the only free right now is the walking. We have drop-in basketball at different times of the day. We have the aerobics classes. We have the youth practices. You know, so there's a lot of traffic, but it's not necessarily just drop in and play. And you know.
Yeah, and I know that we discussed that back and forth, that would have been impossible to work around. I'm just disappointed that it can't be more open to the public because the public paid $29 million for it.
You know, it might help if, and I don't know how difficult it would be if we saw a schedule of usage. There might be more going on than what it sounds like to us.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I mean,
Tony, I do want to clarify. We weren't maligning you with the Rec Commission.
Oh, I know.
The comment was that
make sure we're clear.
contact had been made with the Rec Commission. The Commission said it's up to the city, and we were thinking, why is it up to us? Because we.
Well, I don't know that.
Well, that was,
So-
that was a comment that was made.
So anyway, this gentleman, and I think he's answered some of the issues you've raised.
Well,
Don,
something,
and
I know
so-
you're saying that Louisville has 2 courts, but have you noticed how the courts are there?
What I would ask
They're
is
small.
certainly you can undergo conversation with Mr. Finley or whoever he might have you work with as far as scheduling the sports arena. I think city property such as Rice Park would be something that you could talk with whoever City Manager Deerdoff points you towards, probably Justin, and see what can be done there. And as was mentioned, if there's some funding issues, then that'll have to be a part of that as well. But I want to applaud what's going on. I've been thinking about dropping in at Elmdale myself. I'm only a day or two older than 50, but thought that that might be something good to get involved in. I just haven't made it yet. Anything else from either one of you briefly?
Just clarify this. The city is responsible for outdoor courts.
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
might be
Yes,
where
we are.
that-
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We
I bet that's
got that
that.
figured out.
The sports arena is a whole different animal on usage with the college there.
Right.
I mean,
college
that's
building, basically.
of course, you know, let's use it all day, every day, right? That's my, but I don't get to decide that. So I just want to make sure we're
Well, thank you for dropping by, Tony.
Yeah.
Quick question though, just to make sure we're not heading down the wrong path, is there a demand for outdoor pickle courts, and is that something that you invest in that's gonna work?
I would agree that 2 to 3, maybe even 4 outdoor pickle
Outdoor.
courts in the north side of town would be very well received by the public.
Okay.
Outdoor
Okay.
courts, Mountain Ridge has built 2, Newton's built
Okay.
2 at their senior centers. They're found the money left over, and so they decided, well, they put pickleball courts in.
Well, you know, one of the things on the Rice Park tennis courts, you guys, council,
Right.
remember the conversations, we were gonna tear it out, we
Tear it
decided
out.
not
Splash
to.
pad, yeah.
We moved the splash pad around. I mean, that thing probably needs to be,
Got
you
it.
know, done anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
And maybe repurposed into a combination. Outdoor tennis, you know, we've got pretty good tennis courts in town. I don't know if that's a
We're
need.
overbuilt on tennis
Yeah,
courts as
that's
far
what-
as usage. So
yeah,
yeah,
so-
if there was any way to convert some of those to pickleball,
Right.
I know the public would.
So that may be a good area,
Yeah.
and it's there,
point.
it's built up,
Yeah.
and
Maybe some of those could be
fencing.
multi-use then, pickleball / tennis.
No.
Now, once you do it, it'll just be pickleball.
Just be
The
pickleball.
changeover's too cumbersome.
Is it?
So just
Okay.
build it for what it is.
Yeah.
And that would, quite frankly, be the problem with the lines in the sports arena.
Yeah.
Just if you add more lines to
Oh, yeah.
what's there,
Mm.
now
Well,
you've
that's
really
true.
confused the use of that.
Yeah.
Space.
Okay.
So we can look into that and be part of our budget
Part of our
conversations. Yeah.
capital improvement.
That's like the city of Iola, they took 6 tennis courts that were underutilized and put them in pickleball courts.
Interesting. Very fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further questions or comments by the council?
Nope.
Sir, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Have a good day.
I know I saw someone else stand, so I assume you still wish to address us. Please come forward. Pull it on down. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Zoe Shum. I live at 3216 Northwestern, and I am here with the Cinco de Mayo Planning Committee. And I just wanted to address the council and let you know that we are having our Cinco de Mayo Festival here on this Saturday at George Pyle Park and then Walnut Street. And I know 2 years ago when this event switched over to a different planning committee, I just wanted to thank you and Jim and the Arts Council for your support as it switched over hands. And this year we are very excited. We have the band back that the old festival used to use. We have folkloric dancers, food trucks, bounce houses, games, piñatas.
Oh, wow.
So it really should be a great event, and it's here at George Pyle Park from noon to 5 this Saturday. So
Very
just
good.
wanted to address and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, already. Anyone else? Very good. Next item, please.
Item 6, consent agenda.
I will move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second. There's a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Pyrus Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Decken?
Yes. Next item.
Item
I'm sorry,
Item
go ahead.
7A, consider 2018 to 2020 Historic Preservation Action Plan.
Good morning, Jana McCarron, Director of Planning and Development. And we thought that we would bring forward the Historic Preservation Action Plan during Historic Preservation Month. Just a little bit of background or history, if you guys can afford my puns. I'm trying to be funny. Anyway, a little bit of background. The city did their first Historic Preservation Plan about 2 years ago. And that was in response to a number of appeals that this body considered for historic preservation. And we, I think both City Council and the Landmarks Commission realized that we probably needed to do a little bit better job of getting the word out to people that we have historic districts and there are special requirements for folks who want to do things, who live in historic districts. By December of this year, most of the items in that 2016 plan were completed. And you probably noticed that appeals have in fact decreased. We do have people doing work in those houses though. And so we kind of consider that a favorable outcome. The commission began work on a new plan in January of this year, and they recommended approval in April. And just like the last plan, the purpose is really to improve the effectiveness of our local preservation efforts through education, promotion, and connections. The plan was included in your packet, and I'm not going to read every single one, but I will go through the strategies. The first strategy is educating residents, businesses, and owners and development professionals about their role in the historic preservation process. We've got a number of strategies in there and tasks that the Landmarks Commission as well as staff have discussed and feel like they would be the best next steps for the group to work on. And then the second strategy is to raise community awareness of local historic resources by promoting historic preservation to residents and business owners. And this is kind of a bigger outreach than what we've done. We've pretty much in the past, or at least in the past several years, limited our efforts to people who already had historic structures or who lived in them, or business owners downtown. This would be more of a, okay, well, let's do some of these things we've seen other communities do, and perhaps even begin to grow an inventory of historic structures. Having people approach us asking to be included on the register would be a wonderful outcome. We don't know if we'll achieve that, but we haven't had people coming and saying, hey, I own this building, how do I get it listed? Mm-hmm. And then there's just some more actions on that same strategy. And then the third strategy would be to support downtown businesses locating within the historic districts by connecting them with preservation incentives. We did a lot of focusing on the residential. This would be in partnership with Jim, Sitenator, and the downtown partnership, as well as business owners, getting them more connected to the incentives. And Wes Bartlett mentioned it can be a difficult process to navigate. You really kind of have to have people who know what they're doing to get the tax incentives. There's historic tax credits, and we also provide a 100% NRP increase, or the rebate on the increase of taxes for those downtown, for downtown structures that upgrade and are in the historic district. So we do have incentives, but I don't know that they're maximally being taken advantage of.
Janet, can I ask a question about NRP? Is that anything south of 11th, or is the 100% only if you're in a historic district?
The 100% is only if you're in the historic district.
But it's...
But anything south of 11th is eligible for NRP. It starts at 95% for those that are not historic, and then it goes down by 5% a year until it hits 50. Maybe it's 10% a year. It must be 10% a year, because otherwise the last 5 years it's only 50%.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that's a rebate, so sometimes people get confused, why did I have to pay taxes? Well, you do have to pay, and then you get them rebated back, typically in July of the year that you paid is when you get them back.
Yeah.
And there, just while we're on that topic, there is a 5% administration fee that the county takes off the top, and that's for every, even historic, so that was a little confusing for some of our historic folks. They didn't realize that there was actually a fee that the county charges.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure, sure. So you'll see we're kind of moving toward these shorter 2-year action plans. It seems like we're able to accomplish many of the items within the plans, and it also allows us the ability to make course adjustments if needed. If some action is just like, oh, we thought this was a great idea, but we can't get anyone to participate, we can easily just move on and not have it be something that was a full committed, big budget item. So that's the strategy we've been taking. We feel like it is working for us. One thing that we did last action plan that we're not going to propose to continue doing is hiring the design professional, the consultation professional. Mm-hmm. We've had some people take advantage of it, but the feedback we got was, well, it really wasn't what we thought it was going to be. And so I think we didn't spend a whole lot of money on that, and some of it was grant funding. So we feel like that's just a good way to test the waters and not commit the city to some large effort that may or may not produce the fruit that we are hoping to get. Any questions on this?
Jenna, not so much questions, but comment. I want to commend the Landmark Commission as well as staff, both on the last plan and efforts. I think that it did address issues that were concerning the council, along with broader things, but certainly an example of cost comparison tool that, as I understand, is innovative, and you've been contacted by other locales about that as well. And I think this is an excellent next step. Mr. Bartlett made the point of history impacting all, and yet I don't think that it's really in the mind. So I think broadening awareness raising is an excellent idea, and so just well done.
I do want to thank Aaron. He's our preservation planner, and he's done a fabulous job. kind of just jumped right in there, and he's never said, oh, I can't do this. He always says, I'll do it. So he's done a good job. And also, we have been asked by the state, and we put in a proposal to the National Historic Preservation Council. We will be presenting our cost calculator tool at the national conference in Iowa.
Oh, fantastic.
In July. So it's kind of an honor, and we're a little nervous,
so.
but thank you for your continued support.
Yeah. Thank you. And again, the proof is ultimately in the pudding and the amount of appeals that we've seen since we finally said, let's figure this out. And I can not think of a single one since. So that's obviously it's working. The word's getting out. Appreciate it.
Anything else? Next item, please.
Don't we have to?
take action on
We need
that.
to take
Oh,
action.
I'm sorry. That's right. We do. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I would move to accept and approve the recommendations of the Landmarks Commission to approve the 2018 to 2020 Historic Preservation Action Plan.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Item 7B, consider 2018 to 2020 Housing Action Plan.
Good morning again. As timing would have it, we have these on the same agenda. They just happen to work through the commissions at the same time, not same speed. A little background on the Housing Action Plan. We have done in the past housing studies, and we've done them like every 8 to 9 years. They've been extremely comprehensive process. We usually hired a consultant to do these. And out of those studies have come a series of recommendations that the city over the course of those 8 to 10 years has tried to implement. A couple of years ago, we put a request into the budget to fund another study. And kind of the reaction we got back and the direction from city council was, well, can you guys do something in-house? Because they're very costly, and we're kind of seeing, we have had positive outcomes from our Historic Preservation Action Plan. The Housing Commission wanted to do something that was similar, more action-oriented, more short-term, to see, well, is this going to move the needle or not? And so that's the strategy we decided to take. Just a little update, because we haven't presented our annual report to you yet this year. We have it, but we're waiting for whenever our turn comes up in the queue. As you've seen, we've kind of been talking to different departments, but just a little housing update. The land bank acquired 2 lots last year and sold 3, and 2 of the lots sold were for infill development. One has a house that Interfaith moved a house, has a lot that Interfaith moved a house onto, and the other is actually new construction. So that's pretty exciting to have a local developer who is building a brand new house on an infill lot that was owned by the land bank.
Whereabouts is that, Jana?
The address of-
8th and yeah. In fact, I drove by there the other day. It's a cute little house. It
If
really
he's
is.
successful, he's mentioned that he would like to continue to do this. So we're hoping that that turns out for him. Also, the housing, the moderate income housing grant was completed, the townhomes at Santa Fe Place in December. Brush Up Hutch painted 9 homes. It's a little bit less than what we've seen in the year before, but Brush Up Hutch kind of goes on cycles, so we think this next year we'll see a lot more. The down payment match incentive program, 4 homes were purchased. Those were all 4 purchased in the College Grove neighborhood. Zero interest home repair loan. We have 9 homes that were rehabilitated or updated last year. And then we have the full report on our website if anyone wants to go and look at it. I should mention that photo at the bottom is the first couple that took advantage of the down payment match program. The young couple there, that was them at their closing. So
Jana, if I can ask a question on the Santa Fe Place, terrific workforce housing project, just a great demonstration project. Curious in terms of since they have completed their next phase, where they might be in terms of the occupancy levels. Do you know that?
Yeah, we talked to Shara. She said the 1 and 2 bedrooms are filling up. The 3 bedrooms is a little more difficult. I don't know how many of those they have rented. And I don't think it's because, I think that was just families maybe don't really want to live there or live in that housing style. They have a lot of singles and couples, but they could fill up. That neighborhood is changing. I think you can tell if you go over there that there's definitely changes happening. For the Housing Action Plan methodology, the Housing Commission had in-depth conversations from April to December of last year, and each month they would look at a different topic to try to come up with, okay, well, let's understand this topic, what's going on, what efforts is the city making now, and what efforts could we make. And then based on those, Amy, who's our housing program coordinator, led the group through a really great prioritization process where they kind of tried to prioritize their multitude of strategies they came up with based on, okay, well, what's the potential impact and the potential cost? So what ended up in the plan are things that have the highest impact and lowest cost. So it's kind of is this feasible to do? And if we can do it, do we think it's really going to achieve what we want? So there's a couple of main strategies here. Minimize the impacts of deteriorating housing stock by supporting ordinances and programs to revitalize existing housing. And then a number of strategies.
Can I interrupt you a minute here on the first item there, remove complaint-only practice from IPMC code violations enforcement. I'm curious in terms of what you're thinking it currently is in terms of the tasks or the process in terms of how that might work. I know previous commissions modified that, and what your suggestion is to remove the complaint only to exactly what? How would that likely work?
Sure. Well, this kind of couples with our examination of rental registration.
Right.
So we're committed to come to you. It's probably going to be the first meeting in July. We had thought June, but with the changes in the city council cycle and our cycle, I think it's probably going to be July. We are going to do a performance assessment of, because we had you all established performance measures as part of the rental registration program. So we'll report back to you. Here's the performance measures. Did we move the needle or didn't we? And then if you make the policy decision that, yes, we move the needle and we want to keep the program, then probably this wouldn't be as important. But if you decide, you know what, this isn't the best tool, maybe we just need to remove the complaint only, then we would, it's not actually codified. There's nothing in our code that says we can only do it on complaint only. It's just been the practice. So we would request, Trent and I would work in partnership to request to you that be allowed. Now how it would work, our inspectors, I think, would probably start at one part of town and go along a block and cite people for IPMC violations, whether they were a rental or homeowner occupied, without receiving a complaint. Right now, they're only citing the rentals.
What was the history of that? John, do you recall some of the history of that when the previous councils considered the complaint only versus not?
Yeah, it was really an interesting practice, if you will, because it wasn't an ordinance. It wasn't it was just, and I think it might have been in the art of compromise to not say we're going after everybody, but in reality, even if we remove that, we're still going to do it probably on a complaint basis. We've got one inspector, and it's not like we're going to be driving around town, probably. That's just my take on this, that we get enough complaints to keep us busy. And a complaint could be, you get a call from somebody, you call me, that's a complaint. We go out and inspect a house. What about my neighbor? That's a complaint. And so I don't think it's going to change the landscape a great deal, to be honest with you, because I think we're still busy enough with just the complaints that we have coming forth. Doesn't mean that as we're driving around looking at stuff, we can't see something, but you know, we've allocated one position to this effort, and so to be able to just go out in the community every day with 3 or 4 inspectors is not probably reality.
Well, I think that there's a perception issue here, John. As I think we all understand in terms of the city is out looking for complaints.
Right.
And that likely will not occur.
I don't see that. I mean, personally, and we've talked about it just based on the staffing levels, the reality is that we're going to be busy as we are now just with complaints and follow-ups. And, you know, there's a lot of work once a complaint comes in to notification and then the follow-up to make sure that that does get taken care of. And so I don't know. You know, I remember that conversation. There was this thought that, you know, we're going to have 19 people driving around town, you know, pulling up to every driveway, and the reality that just wasn't going to happen. And maybe that softened the effect of this code at the time in some people's minds that, well, they're only going to do it on complaint basis, which, to be honest with you, we do a lot of things that are on ordinance on complaint basis. You know, weed notices, those kinds of things, although you know, we see some of those, but a good percentage of those all come in based on a neighbor complaining. So.
It would, however, give us the opportunity to target certain, I hate to use target because you don't want different rules in different parts of the town, but if we wanted to focus our efforts on cleaning up a specific area, like one neighborhood at a time, kind of, because we removed complaint only basis on our target neighborhoods anyway, didn't we?
Well, we're going to be coming to you with our next target neighborhood to ask you to do that very thing. We call them feature neighborhoods.
Feature neighborhoods.
But
we also removed it for Avenue A when the grant was administered.
Yeah, and John's right. When Roy retired, we took the Housing Commission on a tour to discuss this very topic. And Roy said the toughest thing he had, the hardest part of his job was when someone would complain and he could go out and write them a letter and they would say, but my neighbor looks just as bad. Well, we didn't get a complaint on your neighbor. And so just being able to then take that as okay, that's a complaint, and we will also write your neighbor up, I think is what if the rental registration goes away. Now, I will tell you that a lot of landlords have said you're treating us unfairly because there's homeowner occupied homes that look just as every bit as bad as my rental units, and you guys aren't doing anything about them, to which we say, well, file a complaint.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to speak on behalf of the Housing Commission, but they have this in their action plan, so I believe that they feel strongly that we need to do something about our deteriorating housing stock, and this is one of the tools we have, and we should use it.
If I might respond a little bit, I was particularly interested in and followed and participated in some of the public hearings back when the IPMC was being brought in. And I think John hit the nail on the head. Although it's not codified, we're only going to operate on a complaint basis was the art of the compromise at that point in time. Because there was significant concern about the IPMC and just in and of itself, much less having a stated proactive inspection process with that. I think things have changed. I think that it bears and warrants discussion at our level, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'm certainly looking forward to July or whenever in terms of looking at or getting the report and the rental inspection, and as Jan has referenced, I think that there's a big interplay, and it'll be an opportunity for us to consider.
This would be a decision you guys would have to make.
Right.
So just because it's in our plan, that's just to do the groundwork to provide you with the information, because we haven't given you any data. So I think it'd be tough right now to make any kind of decision until we give you the data.
Right. So we know.
May I move on? Okay. Support the Hutchinson Healthy Neighborhood Initiative through strategic development and programming. And kind of the idea here is to marry our programs with the neighborhoods and make sure that we have programs that meet the needs of these different neighborhoods. And there's a whole list of tasks there, ideas. We're working on a toolbox that would allow neighborhoods to do some of these without having us to walk them through it. So there's that section. And then improve promotion and outreach to the city and partners programs and projects. This is more we're working on this. Cities aren't very good at marketing, but we're getting better. And then improve our internal processes. We find that something that we do a lot when we get a new grant application, or another one of our partners is applying for a grant, we have to go and look up the data. And we're kind of feeling like if we just had the data on hand, it doesn't change that often. We know when it comes out, then we could spend less time in this area. And then finally, support efforts to promote new infill housing, and we'll be bringing that R6 zoning district to you all probably towards the end of summer.
Okay.
We have another project move in front of that, but I'd like to recognize our housing commissioners who are here. Nathan DeBerry, Anthony, Tony over here, who is our chair, has done it, and then Angie Davenport, and thank them for all their hard work and their just support of housing. They're very dedicated. And I don't know if you guys wanted to say anything. I don't want to say anything.
Well, Jana, I think that the process the commission and staff underwent to put this plan together was very thorough and rigorous, and I like it as much or more than one we would have paid for, and I think it is more achievable. I think some of the ideas were more innovative and creative. I don't know if that's a reflection of your young staff or your hip commissioners. There was one item I had hoped to be addressed a little more strongly, and so I wanted some feedback on that, and that is land contracts. I hear from professionals working to alleviate poverty in the community that it's a major issue, and I don't know where our authority lies on it, and I noticed it in reading the Housing Commission minutes that a stronger item was considered, and I was wondering why that wasn't recommended.
Okay. Well, land contracts are, and I might have to have the city attorney jump in here, but they're allowed by our state statute. So for us to say, no, you can't do land contracts would require some kind of change at the state level. I think the commission and staff felt like that was probably beyond our capability.
Okay.
We decided to start with something we knew we could do, which is to educate people about land contracts and the pitfalls, the benefits and pitfalls of entering into one. And then we even had the thought that maybe we could invite some speaker, maybe not Dave Ramsey, I don't know that we could get him to come here, but somebody that would be more nationally recognized. We've done that with historic preservation and gotten excellent attendance. So our thought was if we could get some somewhat renowned speaker to come in here and actually just tell people about them, someone who is more like objective, that would be a good first step. And maybe ultimately, I don't know that in other communities that we've talked to that the land contract issue is prevalent. It's very prevalent here. And as you guys know, if someone enters into a land contract, we consider that a sale. So they don't register for rental registration program. And technically, the people who are on that land contract are owners of the property. But in reality, it works like a long-term rental in many cases because the people don't fulfill the contract. They need to move before the contract's up and then basically forego all their rights in the property. They don't own anything if they don't stay there for the full term of the contract and meet all its terms. And also, some of those are just verbal agreements. Now, I think the rental registration program has helped with that because we require a copy of it if you're going to be exempted. So they've actually had to draw up some written contracts. I don't know if there's anything, Paul, you would want to add to that, but there's a lot of them in our community. Do we know exactly, you have an idea? A couple hundred?
I think you really touched on it. They can be a useful tool, but they're predatory in our community. And not across the board. I shouldn't say anything's across the board, but I'm glad you made me aware that it's a state issue. I can contact our representatives about introducing a bill next term.
Okay. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, to just put some requirements on them, because there aren't very many at all. My understanding, there's just not very many requirements on those, and so people think that either they think they're renting to own, like your furniture from Rent-A-Center, or they think that they own it, but then they don't understand that they can't sell it. And we have had land contracts be sold to another subcontracting. We've seen all kinds of goofy stuff.
That's interesting.
It's just shocking that it's all legal to take advantage of people who are already struggling so much.
Who don't understand.
Yeah, I think it's a rarity that I've seen one actually go all the way to fruition, where they, not that it doesn't happen, but.
I'm not aware of any that have.
I know of one. I sold a house on a land contract
Yeah.
about 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was, and they converted to a conventional loan after about 5 or 8 years. But you're right, they do if they're done right, I think they're a useful tool.
Exactly.
But all too often they're an easy way for something predatory to take place.
And then you can avoid having to do any repairs or be a landlord because you're not the owner. It's a mess, but I digress. Thank you for clarifying that.
Any other questions on
Jenna, kind of a follow-up to a question about Santa Fe Place. Now that moderate income housing grant has completed, is there some move towards another MIH grant being sought?
We're working with a couple of the partners. I know Shara is looking at some property that's also is that the Allen neighborhood? The Allen neighborhood, which is our next future neighborhood. So that's going to work out fairly well. She's looking at some property. They already own a couple of lots along that block, and they're hoping to do a similar project, maybe not the exact same project. So I think they would apply for MIH. I know that Interfaith is looking at MIH funds, but I'm not sure that they've kind of settled on a project. They were thinking of one, and then they kind of they got a big donation, and so they're working down south right now. And I don't know that anyone else has approached us. Kind of the city, just we haven't really gone out and.
But there's some movement towards seeking some MIH money. Okay. I wanted to ask, and I think as I sat here and rethought the words used, but in item 6 of strategy 3, it says promote existing roof replacement program, and I read that as okay, what is our existing roof replacement program? But what it means is replacing a roof that is in existence right now.
Yeah.
Type of basically a roof replacement program.
SCED has funding for this.
Okay.
And so we actually weren't aware of it, and they told us about it, and this would be us partnering with them just to promote existing programs that are out there.
Oh,
Because
okay.
you'll
So
remember
there
we
is
wanted to have something that was one of the things that Housing Commission talked about last year as part of the budget, not knowing that there are dollars you can get from SCED.
Okay.
Already.
Does SCED have money for sidewalk repair?
Well, but interesting question. They not directly, but you can apply for a CDBG facilities grant. For probably in our community our size, they wouldn't do the repair, but they would do ADA returns, at the corners. So we've already had our first meeting with engineering to talk about, well, is that something we should put in for? Smaller communities usually do better on those facilities grants as far as the ranking, but SCED told us we should apply because they said, if there's leftover dollars, you're probably going to get them. So no and yes.
No and yes. Well, I mean, if you don't apply, you don't get them. So you might as well apply whether you get them or not.
I think it would be ideal also if our inspectors or whomever's having the contact with the individuals were very well versed in what's available out there, so that when they do get called upon, oh, by the way, did you know there's a little something we could do for this? Be helpful, not just here's your ticket. Here's something we could do, or did you know there's funds available, or other means, or whatever to do different things.
And we have had one of our properties in Houston Whiteside use the rehab loan for their sidewalk.
Ah, okay.
The Housing Commission approved that. They felt like that was within the scope
it's a
of
logical
that.
parameter.
So there's a brand new sidewalk in Houston Whiteside. I think it was on First Avenue or Sherman.
It's across the street from me.
Oh,
Is
so
it?
you know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we don't have, you know, like the city doesn't have a cost sharing or
Yeah.
a sidewalk replacement fund.
No.
Which is too bad. But
That's all that I
Okay,
had.
Anything else from the council?
Hoping that you guys would endorse this.
Absolutely.
This time I won't move on to the next item before asking for a motion. Is there a motion?
I'd move to accept and approve the recommendation of the Housing Commission to approve the 2018 to 2020 Housing Action Plan.
Is there a second?
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Iris De Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Decken?
Yes. Next item.
Item 8A, report of city officials.
Nancy?
Nothing.
John?
No, I have nothing this morning.
Dave?
One thing, it's very premature. It's in its infancy, but I was turned on to a tool, if you will, put out by a group called People Speak. It's another device that can be used to help the community communicate with various things, the council, commissions, planning commissions, and things like that. The city of Lakewood, Colorado is utilizing it, and supposedly they're having a great deal of success. It allows them to, in advance, kind of share the meeting, the agenda, the PowerPoint, so on and so forth, so that then individuals can comment in advance of the meeting and participate in the meeting, even though they may not be able to show up at the meeting. I'm not doing it a great service the way I'm describing it, but
Makes sense.
But anyways, I've talked to a couple of folks in the IT or whatever, and they're looking to see about feasibility for Hutchinson, if it would make sense. But it would be another opportunity for those that feel that they don't have a voice to maybe make it a little easier for them to share their voice. And so as I gain more knowledge on that, I'll update you and let you know where that's at. That's all I have.
Cool.
Okay. Jade?
Yes, I have 2 items. Thank you. The committee that was put together to examine barriers for development in the community has finished its work as far as on the meeting side. And the mayor and I were discussing the possibility of getting the recommendations on a study session and discussing them before they went on the agenda. So just wanted your thoughts on that, John. And I know we have some study sessions coming up for the budget, so I don't want to load everyone down, but on the other hand, it could make for a really long meeting.
When do you think you'll have the, I guess, written?
I can have it this week, next week.
Okay, so rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to go ahead? Is there interest in doing that, to have a study session? And if so, talking about a date for that?
The other alternative is just putting the recommendations on the agenda,
On the
but
agenda?
there's several items.
I tell you what, how about if you get to us the
Okay.
recommendations, and maybe we can make a better assessment as to whether a study session versus an agenda item.
That sounds
would be
great.
more appropriate
I'll
for
do
you?
that. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay.
And then the other item I had, John, we discussed it briefly last week. I was contacted by a resident who was concerned with our disposal wells and how those might be impacting quake activity. And so I wanted you to just explain how that's probably not the case, put some people's minds at ease.
Well, I mean, we actually had a meeting last week, last Wednesday, and Mayor attended, invited our state delegation there. We had Representative Berger, or Senator Berger, Representative Probst, and Becker. I was going to do it anyway. And the purpose of that meeting was really just to give them background on the city's 2 deep disposal Class 1 wells that we've had in place, actually in operation since 2006. Really, kind of the process, why they're there, just providing them details of that. And I think it was very helpful for them as they go forward, because I don't think anybody knows what's causing all this activity. If you read the story in the paper a few weeks ago, it was the activity down in Oklahoma South Central Kansas that's causing the activity. And I do know there is a meeting that's being scheduled tentatively for May 15th. We don't know for sure if that's happened. Waiting on Representative Probst on that. May 15th.
Is that the 15th or 16th, John? I have the 16th.
Yeah, I don't know that they've said it yet.
Okay.
But, and the idea there, it's KDH&E and the Kansas Geological Survey that would have a community meeting just to talk about seismic activity in Reno County. I don't think they're going to point the fingers at anybody. It's easy to do that without knowledge, but I think there's just so much there that it would be hard to say that this is a cause of it or this isn't. Like I said, our activity has occurred recently. We've had our wells in place since 2006 or so, but so that'll be an opportunity for the community to learn more about what some of the experts think are causing some of this recent activity, and we've got information that shows where those activities actually occurred in South Hutch, southwest of that area. So I don't know what else I can tell you there until that meeting is scheduled. If there's any
that's
further
great.
questions, yeah.
So as soon as we find out the date on that, you can send that out to us.
Yeah, and there'll be some public information put out as to because I think I'm not sure who the actual host of the meeting is other than KDH&E, and they'll be responsible for a lot of that, and then we'll get the word out once we get that ironed out. So.
Okay. Great.
But
if I might, I think one of the things that we learned is that the disposal wells that the city has are not pressure injected. They're a gravity flow.
Oh, that's good to know.
Versus many of the oil saltwater disposal wells are pressure injected. So, kind of as John started off with, nobody really knows exactly what's happening, but I think that is a key difference between our wells and many of those that are used for oil field saltwater disposal.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. People are sometimes quick to blame government, and so I get panicked calls that must be our fault. So it's nice to know there's a pretty significant difference. That's all I had. Thank you.
yeah, and there are just to know that there are I think 10 or 11 Class 1 wells in this area that not only the city, but we've got private industry that has them, and so it's not just the city involved in that. So. Go ahead.
In addition to Cinco de Mayo this coming Saturday, a reminder to all of us that the airport has the fly-in this coming Saturday as well, which I think will be a neat event. I know that Peter was here, I think, our last meeting, and I just wanted to remind us of that. And I really don't intend to say anything other than to segue to John in terms of our retreat next Tuesday.
Next
May
Tuesday,
8th.
May 8th.
May 8th, yep, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And with that segue, John, you may want to say a
and
little
we're gonna do that at the water treatment facility. I think that's easy in and easy out for everybody.
Water treatment.
Plenty of room there. And I'll have a packet of information that'll go out later this week, just kind of provide a little bit of background. The mayor and I have talked about the format, kind of some of the things we want to focus on, and we'll be talking a little bit about just a preliminary look at budget, fund balance issues and policies, and then hopefully talk some about some of your funding priorities and whether they include pickleball or not. That'll be part of that conversation. So again, that's May 8th, 10 to 2, and we'll have the agenda stuff sent out later this week on that. So.
Okay, sounds good.
The only other thing I had was I think we had great weather this weekend for the community cleanup. We don't have numbers in on the numbers, based on, we'll get that from Stutzman's probably later this week, next week, on how many dumpsters and tonnage that we cleaned up. But out and about this weekend, seemed to be pretty active in a lot of the different locations. So I do know we had our East Cycle dump each had 2,200 pounds, which is really double from last year. And I'm not sure where that location was at. Tech, yeah, that was a Tech location. So with that, I have really nothing else.
Okay. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
And a second? That's a request?
Second.
Okay. Been moved and second, we adjourn. Linda, call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckert?
Yes.
Okay.